Okay, good morning. Sig Sauer Guy here. Welcome to the video. This video is going to be more of a Mythbusters episode. So a few weeks ago, someone made a claim that they were using the Lightning Strike striker and the DPM recoil kit in their 365 and it eliminated primer drag. So that really got my interest. I did reach out to the guy requesting more information, maybe some pictures or anything like that. Pretty much just got crickets. So it was kind of presented in a weird way. So I'm the type of person that I have to figure this stuff out for myself, and then that's what I love to do, is figure this stuff out and pass it along to you guys. So I do have the version 1 Lightning Strike striker. So that following weekend I went out to go shooting version 1, and then there really was no difference between this and the original striker. And then I got to thinking, well, I'm not comparing apples to apples, I need to get this right. So I did find the version 2 simpler design Lightning Strike. So that's what we're going to be using today. And I also have the DPM recoil spring kit. In this kit there are 3 springs: a short silver, a short gold, and a long silver. They do not specify what the weight are for these 3 springs, but they do say on their website the longer spring is the beefier spring, the shorter spring is basically the weaker spring. So that's how we'll kind of keep track of those. I also have color-coded ammo here. Somebody made fun and said I used nail polish on it, but it's a Sharpie. Anyway, so my little cheat sheet up here, I got blue is going to be for the factory striker. We're going to shoot 10 of those, and then I'm going to switch out with the lightning striker and shoot 10 of this pinkish red. And then we're going to leave the lightning striker in it while we test the DPM kit, all 3 springs. So the lightning striker plus the small silver we'll use this gold bronze color. The lightning strike and the small gold we'll use the green. The lightning strike and the long silver we use as gray. And I was out here shooting yesterday, so I kind of have an idea of what to expect. So there's kind of one I want to test with the lightning strike, 1 spring with the lightning strike and the original striker. So that's why I have another 6 color here that we'll be using that for. So we'll be using 365 obviously, and then real quick with primer drag, it's not an issue, it's not a problem. Obviously everybody knows about this, it gets talked to death. I don't even want to talk about it right now. So what I will say is I would never do anything to my concealed carry pistol that changes the timing. Okay, I'm not into upgrading or modifying the timing of a pistol that I'm putting my life on. Okay, possibly someday. And I certainly wouldn't waste $100 going getting a striker when the Sig one is perfectly fine. So I have tuning kits in all my other 320s, my 226, my 228, and every now and then you have a stovepipe, a failure to feed, a failure to extract or eject. That's fine at the range. It sucks during a competition, but during a real life situation when your life or your loved one's life is on it, that is not the time to have a malfunction. So I have never had a malfunction in my 365, and I got one of the very first ones. Since day 1 I've never had a problem until yesterday when I was out here doing some testing. So that's all I'll say in this video for right now. Let's get set up, let's get shooting, and let's get some results. Okay, so we have 10 rounds of the blue colored bullets. This is the original striker, nothing changed in this 365 at all. So let's do 10 rounds of that, and then we'll start making some changes. All right, so let me police up that brass. We'll set up the camera back over near the tailgate, and then we'll switch out this striker real quick. Okay, so we're gonna switch out the striker here with the factory one with the lightning strike. This is the simpler design. I know this is probably difficult to see. I do have a video on my Sig Sauer Guy page that I did the striker removal, and it's a lot clearer to see. So we're gonna try to do it here on camera though for you. So we'll rotate the takedown lever, remove the slide, set the grip aside. And what we need to do is get this back plate off so that we can get the striker assembly out. So there's a little plunger in here, we're going to call it, that we need to pull towards me. That's what's capturing that back plate. So we'll press that in, slide that back plate up, and we'll remove that. and then we can take our striker right out. So there's another, I'm going to call it a D10 again. You got to push this in to allow the striker to come all the way out. It is spring loaded, so do not let it off fast, and certainly don't lose any pieces that want to come out of there. So we'll set that to side. And here's our striker assembly. So we need to collapse this spring so these two cups can fall out. That's what's capturing the spring. We're going to remove the spring, and then we're going to slide it out of this housing, and then we'll put the lightning strike in it. So without losing anything, I'm going to pull this spring back, remove these two cups, and then I can release the spring just like that. And then be very careful. There's another spring on the inside of here. It is pretty hard to see. Sometimes it gets stuck inside the housing, and then sometimes it's on the spring still, or the striker. So there's that little spring there. So we'll switch that over to the lightning strike. We'll put it back inside the housing. And then we're going to put the, actually I got an armor's block here from the Sig Armor. This little cavity here is for this purpose, for the 320, but it works for the 365. It's going to hold that striker. It's like a third hand. This is really hard to do without three hands. So we need to collapse that spring, and then this narrow section on the striker. That's where those cups go, and that's what holds everything together. So we'll put the spring on there. I'm going to slide it down as far as possible. I put one of these cups on the back side and hold it with my index finger. And then I put one on the other side. These only go one way properly. And then we'll let the spring go. Very important, do not let this go until you know it is captured properly. See, I'm holding it in case it comes flying off. And I can see that spring is around, the cups are where they need to be. So there you go. So we'll install that back into our slide, pushing this back in. And then we got to push this housing in to get our back plate back in. And it's going to click into place when it's properly seated. So there you go. So that's the lightning strike striker installed in the 365. So we're going to load up, I pleased up all my blue ones. We're going to load up these pinkish red ones and shoot 10 of those. Okay, so we have the stinky pinkies loaded up. So we're going to shoot 10 of those. This is the lightning strike striker. Everything else is the same, and then we'll start switching some springs out. Okay, let's police that up and change some springs out. Okay, so these springs are pretty easy to change out. We're just going to remove our slide once again. Take our guide rod out, set that aside. And then it comes with the new guide rod with a little spring, and then the 3 different springs here. So we will use there's 2 silvers. One is longer than the other. And then there's a gold and a silver, which are, from what I can tell, pretty much the same exact length. So there is an open end on the spring and a closed end. You see that perfectly circle. That one kind of just stops. The open end they want on the guide rod. And then you install it just like that. So we'll install this just like that. We'll load up these gold bronze ones here, and we'll shoot 10 with the short silver spring and the lightning strike striker. Okay, the gold bronze ones, 10 rounds, lightning strike striker, small silver spring. So let me police up that. We'll change out to the small gold spring. I'm not going to bore you guys with setting up the tripod over there. You've seen it once. So we'll switch out all 3 springs and then do a couple striker changes towards the end. Okay, so we have the green ones all loaded up. One thing I want to mention too, which is pretty interesting when you're tuning a pistol, is the direction the brass ejects. So the factory stuff in the lightning strike in the very beginning, it was all kind of going 90 degrees to the right. And then as you change spring rates, it ejects at different angles and stuff like that. So that spring, they were all kind of going backwards out to the side. This is pretty important, especially for competitive shooters and those that have optics, red dot sights and stuff. When the brass is kind of hitting off your optic, by tuning your pistol, changing the spring rate, you can actually get that to eject in different directions as well. So just some little useful information when you're tuning your pistol. So we got the green ones. I got the gold spring in here, lightning strike striker, 10 rounds. Let's do it. There you go. I'll police that up. We'll put the last spring in it and we'll do 10 more. Okay, the 10 gray ones. The long silver spring with the lightning strike striker. Let's do it. Okay, I'll police those up. I'm going to take a look at my brass, and there might be one more 10 round string that I do with the original striker, so be right back. Okay, 6th and final string. It's the brass colored Sharpie marked bullets. I have the original striker in here with the small silver spring from the DPM kit. 12 rounds. Let's do it. Okay, I'll police those up and then we'll head back home. We'll take a look at the brass and we'll wrap this video up. Okay, so we are back at the bench. I've taken a look at my brass and I've made my decision, but first I want to kind of talk about this stuff over here before we get into this. This morning I woke up, tons of chatter all over Facebook about the 365 DPM kit. Half the people didn't know what it was, yet they were convinced that they needed it because the people that were talking into it were the ones that say this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. So I am not knocking DPM or a spring kit. I am no stranger to tuning kits. This one I've used in my X5 for years. Armory Craft has their new guide rod spring kit for the X5 and full-size 320. I got a kit here for the 226, 228. I have a DPM kit for my compact. So I'm all about it. I love upgrading and tweaking a pistol to perform better than it is stock, to a point with concealed carry. I mean, I don't mind changing the trigger or grip module or barrel because that's really not gonna disrupt things. But when you're talking about the timing of a gun, that's what this is going to affect. I'm not gonna gamble with reliability. So this 365 is one of the first 365s, and I've never had any malfunctions. No failure to feed, no failure to extract, no stovepipes or anything. Yesterday testing this kit, in this pistol I had 3 stovepipes. So based upon that, and people, they're all asking me this morning in my private messages, what's my take on this? Because of those 3 stovepipes, I've only shot 120 rounds, 60 yesterday, 60 today, with this kit. And out of those, I had 3 stovepipes yesterday. So not for me. In my other guns, fine. Not in my concealed carry. I won't put my life, I won't gamble my life with this kit or the loved ones around me. So a fun gun, i.e., you know, a range gun, a competition gun, all about it. But a home defense, concealed carry, everyday carry, not even going near that. And then the lightning strike. If it's peace of mind you're after, fine, go ahead and do it, you know. But Sig, I mean, we're all beta testers. Everybody knows that. How many millions of rounds have been shot in the last year with Sig Striker? And I don't recall anybody reporting any breakage issues. And you compare that to how many rounds have been shot with a lightning strike. I'll put my money on Sig all day, every day. Don't forget, these had breakage issues in the very beginning as well. A lot of people seem to forget that. So that's not for me. That's not for me in my concealed carry pistol. So the purpose of the video, the blue was everything factory, nothing changed. There you go. You can see the primer drag well known and come to love. And then we switched out for the lightning strike, and it's the same, if not worse, with the lightning strike striker. So I did weigh the different strikers because it's kind of relevant. The version 1 lightning strike is 7.26 grams. The original striker for Sig is 6.56 grams, and the version 2 simpler design striker from Lightning Strike is 5.52 grams. And this is a brass piece shooting the version 1 Lightning Strike primer drag also. Weight has to do with timing, so it's relevant that I mention that. It's kind of insignificant based upon these results, so it is what it is. And then we started changing out springs. So we have the short spring with the Lightning Strike striker, and that's probably the worst out of all of these. It almost goes to the complete edge of the primer. And then we switched it out for the short gold spring. It's pretty bad too. And then the longer silver spring primer drag as well. So yesterday during my shooting, I had a few with the short silver spring and the Lightning Strike that looked decent, better, not as bad as these worst ones. So I wanted to switch it out with the original striker with the silver short spring to see if that made a difference. And we're right back to primer drag. So long story short, myth busted. Based upon all these here, there's no way I'm going to spend $190 to try to eliminate primer drag because somebody claimed it did, getting these results. It's myth busted. I'm not buying it. So this is the reason why I do this stuff, because I need to find out for myself. That way, if I make a video and put it out there to you guys, I know I'm not feeding you a bunch of crap. So it is what it is. So there you go, myth busted. If you like these types of videos, please don't forget to like my Sig Sauer Guy page. There's content I put on there that I don't put on YouTube or some of the other groups. So if you don't want to miss any of that, make sure you like and follow. As always, thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.